Okay, students, so far we talked about the unit title and the lesson objectives. Then, are you guys ready for today's class? Awesome. Then everyone look at the screen here. Hoyoung at the back. Can you see the screen? Great. So what do you see on the screen? Yes, there's a video clip, right? So from now on, we are going to start today's class with a video clip. So let's watch a short video clip. Great. So everyone, as I just told you, we are going to watch this short video clip and then we are going to talk about it. Alright, so eyes on the screen, let's watch this video clip. Okay, so we just finished watching this video clip. In the video clip, what did you see? Yes, Hyewon? Yes, you saw animals in the ocean, right? How did they look? Happy or unhappy? Yes, Tawon? Yes, they didn't look so happy, right? So why don't we talk about why they didn't look so happy? Do we have any volunteer? Yes, Jihan? Yes, that was because they were sick, right? And what else? Yes, Hyunwoo? Yes, that was because they were uncomfortable because of the bottles, right? And what are those bottles made of? Yes, Chongmin? Yes, they were made of plastic, right? So plastic here, plastic. So like this, we just watched this video clip and talked about what? Yes, Jihan? Yes, why they looked unhappy in the ocean. Then, can you guess the topic of today's class? Yes, Dongwoo? Oh, did everyone hear what Dongwoo just said? He said today's topic will be environment. Do you guys agree? Perfect. Then are you ready to learn more about the environment? Great. Then everyone, let me give you this worksheet. Take one and pass them to the back. Take one and pass them to the back. Sang at the back, did you get the worksheet? Perfect. So what do you see on the first worksheet? Yes, there is a reading text, right? So from now on, we are going to read about the environment. So let's read. However, before we actually read the text, what do we have to learn first? Yes, Sumin? Yes, we need to learn some difficult words, right? So everyone, let's look at the first worksheet and check if there's any difficult words. So class, were there any difficult words? Just say the words loudly. Oh, I can hear the word stained from many of you guys. So, stained. Then, does anyone know the meaning of the word stained? Alright, then let me give you a hint. Everyone look at here. So let's say that I have a clean paper here. A clean paper. So this is a clean paper. However, let's say I have an orange juice and spilled on it. If that happens, the paper would look like this. It would look like this. And we call this a stained paper. Here, stained paper. Then, can anyone guess the meaning of the word stained? Yes, Hyunwoo? Oh, did everyone hear what Hyunwoo just said? He said stains means dirty. So, here, stains means dirty. Then, Suhyun, can you make a sentence with the word stained? Oh, you have stained shirts. That's a good sentence. Okay, so I can see that everyone understands this word stained. Then, are you guys ready to read the text? Perfect. Alright, so everyone, whenever we read the text, which one do we have to find first? Yes, Jae-woo? Yes, we need to find the main idea first, right? So, from now on, we are going to find the main idea. So, the main idea. However, to find the main idea, do we have to read quickly or slowly? Yes, Sangmin? Yes, we need to read quickly, right? So you don't have to understand every single word. Just read quickly and find the main idea. I'm going to give you 3 minutes. 3 minutes? Go. Oh, do you need any help? Oh, you don't know how to find the main idea. Then why don't you find the keyword that is used repeatedly? Because the keywords can be a hint for the main idea. Can you do that? Perfect. I love your effort. 1 minute left, students. Does anyone need more time? Okay, time's up. So let's check the main idea together. So what was the main idea? Any volunteer? Yes, Jiwan. Oh, did everyone hear what Jiwan just said? He said the main idea is how to recycle better. So the main idea was how to recycle better. Do you guys agree? Awesome. Then everyone, we just found the main idea, which was how to recycle better. But everyone, look at the title. Suhyun, can you read the title for us? Yes, it was Let's Recycle Better, right? So like this, remember that title and the main idea have very close relationship with each other, alright? Perfect. So we just found the main idea. Then, are you guys ready to read the text a little bit more closely? Perfect. So from now on, let's find some details. So let's find some detail about this reading text. So everyone look at the screen here. Hyunjung at the back. Do you see the screen? Perfect. So what do you see on the screen? Yes, there are two questions, right? So what's the first question? Can you read together? Yes, it was, what should we take off before recycling a plastic bottle, right? And what about second one? Can you read together? Yes, it was, where should we throw away a dirty pizza box, right? So from now on, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to read the text again and find the answers for those two questions, alright? However, to find the answers for these questions, do we have to read all of it, or can we just read only the necessary part? Yes, Tawon? Yes, we can read the necessary part, right? So I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do what? Dongwoo? Yes, we are going to find the answers for those two questions, alright? 5 minutes, find the answers, go. Oh, Sumin, you already finished? Wow, what a quick reader. Then why don't you help your friend Minsu? I heard Minsu needs some help. Can you do that? Awesome. Like this, friends can be a better teacher. Keep up the good work. 1 minute left, students. Does anyone need more time? Okay, time's up. So let's check the answers all together. So we had two questions, right? So what was the answer for this first question? Can anyone share? Yes, Hoyoung? Yes, it was labels. Right? So we should take up labels before we recycle the plastic bottles. So the first one is labels. Great job, Hoyoung. And what was the second one? Any volunteer? Yes, Hyunwoo? Yes, we should throw away the dirty pizza box to where? Yes, to the garbage can. Yes, it was not to the recycle bin, but it was a garbage can. Alright, so far we just finished reading the text twice. One for the main idea and another for the detail. However, this reading text was about the Jiho's school. Then, how about our school? Don't you want to talk about it? Awesome. So let's begin a talk time here. So it's time for talk. Talk here. So everyone, look at the second worksheet. Hyunjung, what can you see in the second worksheet? Yes, there is a problem and suggestion chart, right? So from now on, we are going to talk with your partners. So Jongmin, Minjong, you two, Hyunjung, Jeongyeon, you two, and you two. Does everyone have their own partners? Perfect. So with your partners, we are going to talk about the problems and suggestions for our school. Alright? To complete this chart, you don't have to write in a full sentence. You can just write words. Just words or phrases. That'll be okay, because this is just speaking activity. Alright? Perfect. However, whenever we do this kind of talk activity, which rule do we have to follow? Yes, Hoyoung? Yes, we need to follow the art rule, right? So what was A? Yes, Hyunwoo? Yes, it was active participation. And what was R? Yes, Tawon? Yes, it was respect others, right? So remember that you respect your partner's idea. And what was T? Yes, Suhyun? It was take turns, right? So remember this art room when you talk with your partners. Alright? Perfect. So I'm going to give you 10 minutes. 10 minutes to do what? 종민 and 민종? Yes. Talk with your partners and complete the second handout. Alright? 10 minutes? Go. Oh, 수연 and Hyunsu, do you need any help? Oh, you don't know what's the problem of our school. Then why don't you look at this school newspaper I just brought for you guys. With this school newspaper, can you find the problems and suggestions by yourselves? Perfect. So if you need any more help, just feel free to call me. Alright? And Hoyoung and Youngho, you already finished? Wow, what a quick learners. Then why don't you write more suggestions for the problems? Because the more suggestions we have, the better our school will be. Can you guys do that? Perfect. 1 minute left, students. Does any parent need more time? Okay, time's up. So far, we just finished talking with our partners. Then, don't you want to know other pairs' ideas? Perfect. Then, let's begin the class survey. So, it's survey time. Let's do the survey. So, everyone, let's look at the third handout. What do you see? Yes, Hyewon and Wonhee. Yes, you can see the survey worksheet, right? So from now on, we are going to walk around the classroom with your partner and ask questions, get the answer. Alright? Perfect. So everyone look at here. So you guys are sitting like this, right? So students here, raise your hand. Okay, okay. So you're going to be the interviewer, okay? So you're going to ask questions to your friends, alright? So, interviewer. And students sitting here, raise your hand. Okay, so you're going to be the counter. So, if your partner asks the question and your friend answers to the question, you count the number. Alright? Perfect. So, I'm going to give you 10 minutes. 10 minutes to do what? Je우 and Uje? Yes, we are going to walk around the classroom, ask questions, do the survey. And Hoyoung, what's your role? Yes, you are going to be the counter. Alright? So everybody stand up, walk around the classroom, 10 minutes, go. Oh, Hyunwoo and Woohyun, do you need any help? Oh, you can find another group to ask. Then why don't you go to Hyunsu and Suhyun over there? I think they are in the same situation with you guys. Can you do that? Perfect. Oh, Jungmin and Minjung, you already finished? Wow, what a brilliant students. Then what do you see in the fifth question? Yes, it says your question, right? So why don't you make your own question and do the survey again? Because the more questions you have, the better survey result will be. Can you guys do that? Perfect. Keep up the good work. 1 minute left, students. Does anyone need more time? Okay, time's up. So let's go back to your seats. Awesome. Alright, so we just finished the survey. However, when I was walking around the classroom, I found that many of you guys used this sentence. That was, I remove always labels. I remove always labels. Is this correct sentence? No, right? So, how can we change this? Yes, Jungmin? Oh, did everyone hear what Jungmin just said? He said, we should say, I always remove labels, instead of I remove always labels. So, it should be like this. I always remove labels. So let's practice. Let's read this sentence again. I always remove labels. Perfect. Other than this one, your survey was perfect. Let's give ourselves a big hand. Great job, everyone. Alright, so we just finished the class survey. Then, are you guys ready to write the actual suggestion for our school? Perfect. So let's write our suggestion. Our suggestions for the school. So everyone, let's look at the screen here. Sumin, at the back, do you see the screen? Perfect. So what do you see on the screen? Yes, there is a teacher's example. right? So can you read the first part? Awesome. So like this, there are several things you should remember when you write your own suggestions. So remember these things. So the first thing was, like Sumin just read, how many problems can you find in the sample writing? Yes, Dongwoo? Yes, there's one problem, right? So your writing should have one problem and how many suggestions? Yes, Tawan? Yes, there are 2 suggestions, right? So your writing should have one problem and 2 suggestions. And second, what can you find in the teacher's example? Yes, Hoyoung? Yes, the writing is written in full sentences, right? So for the second part, you should write the full sentences. Okay? So based on the keywords we wrote right here, you should make the full sentence over here. Alright? And lastly, we should include what? Yes, Hiwon? Yes, we should include the today's word. Today's word, which was the stained. Alright? Perfect. So remember these things when you write your own suggestions. Alright? So we are going to do this in groups. So Jongmin, Minjong, Suyeon, Hyunsu, U4, U4, and finally the last group, group 6, U4. Is everyone in the group? Perfect. So before we start, let me give you the roles. So let's give some roles. Alright, so you guys are sitting like this, right? Then let me give each of you guys a role. Alright? So first, students here, raise your hand. Okay, okay. You guys are going to be the writer. Alright? And students here, raise your hand. Alright? Okay. You guys are going to be the dictionary. Dictionaries. What do we have to do? Yes, bring your own tablet PCs, and if your group needs to find some difficult words or check the grammar, that's your job. Alright? Perfect. And students sitting here, raise your hand. Okay. And you guys going to be the presenter. So, presenter here. So make sure you prepare the presentation after the writing. Okay? And lastly, students sitting here, raise your hand. Alright. So you guys are going to be the blogger. So bloggers, what do we have to do? Yes, Eunsu? Yes, we need to upload our final writing to the online classroom. Okay? Perfect. Then, are you guys ready to write your own suggestions? Awesome. Just before we start, let me tell you this. The best group suggestions will be actually sent to the principal's office. How does this sound? Does it sound exciting? Awesome. So I'm going to give you 15 minutes. 15 minutes to do what? Group 2? Yes, we are going to write our suggestions for the better school. And what is your role, Suhyun? Oh, yes, you're a blogger, right? All right. I'm going to give you 15 minutes. 15 minutes, go. Oh, group 1, do you need any help? Oh, you don't know how to start writing. Then why don't you look at the second handout and the third handout? Because those were kind of build-up activity for this one. With those second and third handouts, can you guys do this work by yourselves? Perfect. And if you need any help, just feel free to raise your hand. All right? Awesome. And group 5, you finished already? Wow, what a quick writers. Then why don't you write more suggestions? Because the more suggestions you will provide, the better chance we have the better school. How does it sound? Can you guys do that? Awesome. Keep up the good work. 1 minute left, students. Does any group need more time? Okay, time's up. All right, so everyone, we finished writing and we also watched our friend's presentation. So just before we wrap up, let's go over today's class. So today we watched the video and we read about what? Yes, Hyunjung? Yes, we read about how to recycle better. And we talked about what? Yes, Hoyoung? Yes, we talked about our school's problems and suggestions. And then what? Yes, Jihwan? Yes, we wrote our suggestion. So with today's class, I want you to become a person who can take care of your surrounding environments. Can you guys do that? Awesome. So that's all for today and have a great weekend.